everyone. Welcome back to the session of English. In this session, we are going to continue with our chapter Connectors. Now, this is part 17. Well, we have discussed many connectors in all these sessions. So, in this session, we are again going to introduce a new type of connector. In fact, we will discuss types of those connectors as well in this session. So, let's begin the session. In this session, we will discuss contrasting connectors, definition of contrasting connectors, and types of contrasting connectors. Moreover, we will discuss some more things over here, that is some type of contrasting connectors, that is on the other hand, then while, and then whereas. So let's begin with these types of connectors. First of all, we'll discuss the definition of contrasting connectors. Now, as the word itself says, that's something which is contrasting. Or you can say, suppose somewhere is written like A to Z. And if I contrast it like Z to A, so the inverse of it, or you can say something which is in contrast. For example, if I write A to Z and on the other hand, I write A to Z. So that will be the different thing. That will be the different opposite part of it. Suppose somewhere I write white and on the other hand, I write black. So here you can see the contrasting things. It means two opposite statements together. So this is actually the meaning of contrast. Now, definition of contrasting connectors. Contrasting connectors are used to highlight differences or oppositions between two things, ideas, or statements. For example, I like white color, but I want to wear black dress in this function. So I like white color, but in this function, I want to wear a dress of black color. So there is a contrasting statement where I'm using two opposite statements or two opposite things all in a sentence. And I'm showing the contrast. So this is how we can show the contrast. Now, they serve an important role in both written and spoken language by providing clarity and enhancing the coherence of arguments or narratives. So there may be some arguments where we are using some connector to join two arguments together. For example, one thing is written and in the other statement or in the other clause, the opposite of it will be written. So for example, advantage and disadvantages. So in one part of the sentence, we have an advantage of that particular thing. And in the other part of the sentence, we have the disadvantage of that particular thing. For example, use and misuses of phones. So you can see mobiles uses and then misuses. So we are using two opposite statements or two opposite things or idea in a single statement using a connector which is just joining these two different opinions or ideas. So this type of connector is known as contrasting connector. So these connectors allow the speaker or writer to present contrasting viewpoints of facts in a clear and structured way. Now, what will be the structure? First, in the first part, maybe the advantage will be written or the disadvantage will be written, and vice versa for the second part, helping the audience to understand the relationship between different parts of a text context or conversation. So here we are going to discuss types of contrasting connectors. So basically we can have many types of contrasting connectors, but here we are going to discuss a few of them. So first we'll have the contrasting connector that is on the other hand. It means something has been said and on the other hand we have several other part of it. So there we can state with on the other hand. Now, while and whereas. So these three are contrasting connectors which we are going to discuss in this session. So let's begin. First, we'll discuss on the other hand. Now, on the other hand, it means that something has been said. And on the other hand or on the other part, you can have the opposite statement of it. So there we can use on the other hand. Meaning of on the other hand. The phrase on the other hand is used to introduce a contrasting point or perspective in relation to a previous statement. It means whatever the previous statement consists of. If I write on the other hand over here, the statement that will be here, so this will be opposite to the previous statement. This will show something which is opposite to the previous statement. It means here uh, some view has been written, and here the opposite view is written. So opposite view will be written. Like we can use this as A and A dash. So you must have seen these type of structures and graph and number lines, that sometimes we write x and then x dash or y dash, just to show that somewhere on the one side we have positive numbers, and on the other side or on the other hand we have negative numbers. So this is how we can use this a and a dash structure and this on the other hand structure. So let's continue. This phrase is used to present two different viewpoints or aspects of an issue, showing contrast or balance in an argument or discussion. Now, there is something. If I present that mobile, okay, a word is mobile. Now, some can have the positive aspects towards it, and some can have the negative opinion about it. Now, what happens? Both the things, negative and positive, they are balancing the discussion or the argument, because we have positive aspects as well as we have negative aspects as well of the phone. Moreover, what happens if I state a positive viewpoint for a mobile? On the other hand, I present a negative aspect for the particular thing. Now, what happens? They will balance the equation. They will balance the advantage with disadvantage or the statement. Now, on the other hand, it introduces a contrasting viewpoint. Now, this thing should be kept in mind. Whatever we write after the phrase on the other hand should be consisting of that element that is just opposite to the view which has been said or suggested. It should be opposite to that particular statement which has been previously stated. Example: the new policy could lead to economic growth. So we are talking about a new policy that can lead to economic growth. So this is actually the positive aspect of something. On the other hand, now we are just contrasting this statement. It might also increase inequality. So about new policy, this is actually the advantage and this is the disadvantage. So we are using on the other hand to show the negative part of it, or you can say the opposite part to this. Now this can be vice versa as well. For example, the new policy increase inequality, or the new policy could increase inequality. On the other hand, it could lead to economic growth. So here we can see both the aspect. It does not matter that whether we are writing it does not matter whether we are writing positive aspect first or the negative aspect secondly. Only that matters that the two statements which are given, they should be opposite to each other, and on the other hand should introduce the opposite statement as compared to the previous statement. That's it. This structure is used to emphasize the multifaceted nature of a topic. Multifaceted means it can have various aspects. For example, if I say coins has two facets, coin has two facets, it means one side and the other side, highlighting that there are different ways to consider the issue. Uses of, on the other hand, presenting contrasting views or arguments. The project could bring in more revenue. On the other hand, it might require a significant initial investment. Now, what happens? Here you can see in the sentence, the project could bring in more revenue. So this is the positive thing about something. On the other hand, it might require significant initial investment. It means it requires your money as well. After that, it will give the profit. So this is how we can show two opposite statements together, or presenting contrasting views. So here we have two views. First, of the more revenue, and the second view is that significant initial investment it requires. So here you can see two views, and we are presenting it for argument. You can say it is like a debate thing. Balancing different aspects of a situation. The new law will benefit employees. On the other hand, it could pose challenges for small businesses. So whatever, suppose there is a situation, there is some law that has been introduced. Now we can see both the benefits and uh, demerits of that particular law. So this is how it is shown in the sentence. So here we are balancing different aspects of a situation. Whatever the situation is there, whatever law is there, how it can balance it, both the aspects. So here we can show in this sentence. Highlighting the pros and cons. As I told you that it will highlight the disadvantage and advantage of something. So here you can see pros and cons. It means advantage and disadvantages of something. Working from home offers flexibility. On the other hand, it can lead to lack of work-life balance. So this is how we can see that how work from home benefits or de-benefit a person. Discussing alternatives. When we have two options or several alternatives and we are going to discuss them, we can use on the other hand. For example, we could travel by train to enjoy the scenery. On the other hand, flying would save our time. So there are two options. Either we choose to enjoy the scenery or to save the time. So we can have two options. So just to choose these two alternatives or to discuss these two alternatives, if we want to choose them, we can use either or, and if we want to discuss about these alternatives, we can use on the other hand. That is it. So this is the difference between on the other hand and either or. Weighing decisions. Whatever decisions that we get or that we take, whatever decision that we take, what happens, we are just going to weigh them. It means whether our decision is right or wrong. So this is the method or on the other hand part we can use. For example, if you are going to buy a car, you will see two options or several other options. Now one thing, if you stuck between the two options, what do? You just see the benefits of this one or that one. So you are just weighing your decision that whether this thing is suitable or whether or this thing is suitable. Investing in stocks has the potential for high returns. On the other hand, it comes with greater risk. So this is how you can weigh your decision that whether to invest in stocks is good or bad for you. Showing the complexity of an issue. Technological advancement has made life easier. On the other hand, it has led to certain privacy concerns. Structure of on the other hand. The structure of using on the other hand as a contrasting connector typically follows this pattern. What pattern? First argument or point, on the other hand, and after that we'll have the second argument or point. So first we are having the first argument, whatever the first statement is there, first point is there. After that we have on the other hand, and then we have the second point or the argument point over there. First argument, this is the content of the argument or perspective that contains a viewpoint. So first we have our view. After that we have on the other hand phrase. This phrase introduces a contrasting or opposite point, perspective or aspect. It signals a shift from the previous point to a different viewpoint. Second argument or point, this is the content of the contrasting argument. So after on the other hand, we'll have the second point, which is opposite view. Opposite view as that of the first. So it contains the opposite view or perspective that follows on the other hand. For example, using public transport helps reduce our carbon footprint. On the other hand, it can be less convenient than driving a personal vehicle. So here you can see the convenience of it, and here you are using public transport helps reduce. So you are seeing the use or the help from that you are deriving from using the public transport. In this structure, the first part presents a positive aspect of using public transport, that is environmental benefit. The second part, on the other hand, introduces a contrasting viewpoint, that is convenience issue. So either you see environmental benefit or convenience issue. So you see either environmental benefit or convenience issue. So it is up to you. So this is how, while discussing these viewpoints, you can use on the other hand. While choosing them, you can use either and or. Examples of on the other hand. Now we'll discuss some examples of on the other hand. First of all, we have an example. Online education offers flexibility and convenience. Now, here, on the other hand, it lacks the interpersonal interaction of traditional classroom settings. So, online education offers flexibility and convenience. But as you all have enjoyed the school life, now, if you see that the upcoming world that will consider online education beneficial, or that will consider it as a merit, but they will lack that particular life that we have enjoyed in our schools. As you can also see, while I'm teaching you, this is very convenient for anyone to get a study or to get classes by sitting just at home, and these are free of cost classes for you all. But on the other hand, if you go to the coachings and there you enjoy the different environment, you make your friends, this is in a school as well. So that will be the different part. Now, for example, if children, if future, or if the future children, if they don't go to school, if they just take online classes from home, though it will be convenient for them, it will save a lot more time, it will, but there is something lack that the traditional classrooms, they will miss it. So these are something pros and cons of our schooling and the technology. So on the other hand, should can introduce this as well. So urban living provides easy access to amenities and work. On the other hand, it often comes with higher living cost and noise. So this is true. Plant-based diet can have health benefits. On the other hand, it requires careful planning to ensure all nutritional needs are met. Hiring more staff would accelerate the project. On the other hand, it would increase the project's overall costs. Obviously, it will happen. So, on the other hand, is just showing that there are 2 points for something, and not like that these are only advantages and disadvantages, but there is something which is required, and that will enhance your cost as well, though you are enhancing the staffs. So this will this structure can give you two viewpoints. One is just opposite, or the statement which is other, and according to the money, it is opposite in both the cases. Investing in real estate can be stable long term investment, can be a stable long term investment. On the other hand, the property market can be unpredictable and illiquid. Now, illiquid means that cannot be converted into cash, and unpredictable, that there is no uh, trust. We do not know what is going to happen. So it is not like you are just foreseeing it. So you cannot do that. So this is risky as well. So you, with the help of on the other hand phrase, you can see, you can show these two aspects of the real estate market. Technological advancements have greatly improved communication. On the other hand, they have also led to concerns over data privacy and screen addiction. Now, this is again very, very important and true, that we have already faced, and in fact, we all are facing. That though it has greatly improved the communication, but they have also led to concerns over data privacy and screen addiction. Also, there are many points which we can consider for this. Well, we are not discussing overall that thing. This is only the example to show you how to use the phrase on the other hand. So these were some examples of using on the other hand phrase. Now here we are going to discuss one more contrasting connector, and that is while. So while is again a contrasting connector. How to use it? Let's discuss. Meaning of while. The word while can be used as a contrasting connector to highlight differences or contradictions between two ideas, actions, or situations. So, this is just like the phrase on the other hand, as we have used that. This is also the same. This also shows the same opinion and the pattern. So, this is just like just contrasting two statements which are opposite and which have two opposite viewpoints. When is used in this way, while introduces a statement that is contrast to another statement, often in the same sentence. This use of while emphasizes simultaneous or coexisting ideas that are different from or opposed to each other. Now, this one is something different. Uses of while, highlighting differences in preferences or opinions. While I enjoy hiking, my friend prefers to stay indoors and read. So, this is how we are showing two preferences. Like, I enjoy hiking, so this is my choice, but my friend prefers something else. So, just to show these two preferences which are different from each other, we can use the word while. Now, while can also begin the sentence. Juxtaposing contradictory situations or facts. Now, juxtaposing means uh, writing two statements which are contrast to each other on the same structure, on the same length, or on the same line, or in the same grammatical structure. If we are uh, if we are writing or using or speaking two opposite statements one by one, that means juxtaposing. That is, you can say beside part or one after one. Just writing two things one by one. When the north region experiences heavy rain, the south remains dry and arid. So you can see two things over here. One is north and another direction is south. One is experiencing heavy rain and other is dry and arid. So these are two opposite statements which are just placed one after one. That means juxtaposing. So this is how we can use the word while. While can also begin the sentence. We can also use it in between the sentence. Using the same structure. Comparing divergent actions or events. While some companies are expanding rapidly, others are struggling to survive. So there are two things. Some companies are expanding and some companies are going down. So these are two opposite situations. So we are using while to just join these two situations together. Emphasizing contrast in characteristics or qualities. While the first modal is known for its speed, the second is valued for its durability. Showing disparity in behaviors or attitudes. While he is very outgoing, his sister is quite introverted. So, this is showing the disparity in behaviors or attitudes. Balancing opposing viewpoints or ideas in arguments. While traditional methods have their merits, modern techniques offer increased efficiency. So there are two things. Traditional methods have their merits, whereas new techniques, modern techniques offer increased efficiency. So these two things are there. Though both are positive, but both are showing the advantages of one traditional and other one for technological. Presenting contrasting evidence of findings. While recent studies suggest one conclusion, earlier research points to another. Structure of while. The basic structure is while idea or clause 1, after that clause 2 or idea 2. Now here we are just using while in the beginning of the sentence. So if while is in the middle of the sentence, that can also happen. That is clause 1, then while and clause 2. While I enjoy hiking, my sister prefers logging on the beach. The sentence contrasts the speaker's preference for hiking with their sister's preference for relaxing on the beach. Examples of while. While Sarah is outgoing and sociable, her brother James is introverted and shy. The sentence contrasts Sarah's extroverted personality with James' introverted personality. While the first half of the book was engaging, the second half was rather dull. Now, we can also say the first half of the book was engaging, while the second half was rather dull. Basically, we use while in the beginning of the sentence, but we can have it in the middle of the sentence as well. While some people find public speaking exhilarating, others find it terrifying. While the company's revenue increased this year, its profits actually decreased. While I appreciate your invitation, I won't be able to attend the event. The sentence uses while to acknowledge the invitation, but then introduces the contrasting decision not to attend it. While the morning was sunny and warm, the afternoon brought heavy rain. While some people thrive under pressure, others crumble. This example emphasizes the differing responses people have to pressure situations. Now, here we have discussed some examples of while. Now, another one is whereas. This is again a contrasting connector. It also shows two opposite alternatives, two opposite statements together, and we can use whereas in between just to show these two. When we compare between the two situations, we can use whereas. This is again very simple, and we use it many times in our speech. This is used many times in our speech. So this is informal, whereas while and on the other hand, these are formal. Meaning of whereas. Whereas is a contrasting connector used to introduce a contrast or opposition between two clauses or statements in a sentence. It is often used to provide an alternative perspective, present a different viewpoint, or set up a comparison. Now, this one is very, very important. It shows the comparison between two contrasting ideas. Here is the basic structure. I love hiking, whereas my brother prefers indoor activities. So, this is comparison between me and my brother, that I love hiking, whereas my brother prefers indoor activities. So the sentence contrasts the speaker's love for outdoor activities with their brother's preference for indoor ones. Uses of whereas. First of all, comparison of two ideas or statements. So the most important use of whereas is just to compare between the two things. Whereas is often used to compare and contrast two different pieces of information. The first candidate has excellent qualifications, whereas the second candidate lacks relevant experience. The weather was warm yesterday, whereas today it is freezing cold. Now, in the first sentence, you can see the first candidate has excellent qualification. So here we are comparing the qualifications of the first and the second candidate. And in the second sentence, you can see that here the weather, how was it yesterday and how is it today. We are comparing between the weather of the 2 days. Introduction of a counter argument. Whereas can be employed to introduce a counter argument that opposes a previously mentioned point. Many people believe in climate change, whereas some skeptics argue that it is a natural occurrence. So many people believe in climate change. So this is the first viewpoint. And whereas some skeptics argue now it is a natural occurrence. So this is the second. And we are comparing between these two situations. We are also employing the contrasting statement over here. So we are using the whereas word. Highlighting contrasting information. Whereas is used to emphasize the differences between two related pieces of information. She enjoys spending time outdoors, whereas her brother prefers indoor activities. So she enjoys outdoor, whereas her brother likes indoor or prefers indoors. The company's revenue increased this quarter, whereas the profit margin decreased. So we are comparing revenue and profit margin. Setting up contrasting descriptions. Sorry, it is setting up. Whereas can be used to contrast the characteristics or qualities of different subjects or objects. The old model was reliable but lacked modern features, whereas the new model is packed with advanced technology. So here, in this sentence, you can see the comparison between the old model and the new model, indicating a shift in focus. Whereas can signal a shift in the topic or focus of a sentence, In the morning, she is focused on work, whereas in the evening, she enjoys relaxation and leisure. Legal and formal documents, whereas is commonly used in legal and formal documents to introduce statements of fact or background information. Whereas the parties to this agreement have agreed to the following terms and conditions. Now, something must have written earlier, whereas with the help of whereas we cannot begin the sentence. In fact, we should not begin the sentence. If a whereas is given, it means something has been mentioned previously. Only after that we are using whereas just to show the opposite statement of the previous mentioned statement. Structure of whereas. The structure of a sentence using whereas typically follows this pattern. First of all, we have clause 1, then whereas, and then clause 2. Clause 1, this is the first part of the sentence and often presents an idea, fact, or statement. Whereas this is the contrasting connector that signals a shift in focus or introduces a contrast with the information presented in the clause 1. Then clause 2, this is the second part of the sentence and contrasts with or opposes the information in clause 1. Clause 1, he enjoys reading novels, whereas clause 2, his sister prefers watching movies. Now, if I add these two sentences together, I can write, he enjoys reading novels, whereas his sister prefers watching movies. So here we are comparing between brother and sister, and on the basis of their preference or the likings. In this sentence, clause 1 mentions the person's enjoyment of reading novels, and whereas introduces clauses 2, which presents the contrasting preference of person's sister for watching movies. Examples of whereas. So now we'll discuss some examples of whereas. She enjoys studying in quiet places, whereas her brother prefers to work in background music. The sentence contrasts the sister's preference for a quiet study environment with her brother's preference for background music while working. So, this is how we can show the different living style of the brother and sister. We are comparing between the living style of the brother and the sister. The old house was charming and full of character, whereas the new one is sleek and modern. Whereas is used here to highlight the differences in architectural styles between the old and the new houses. While some countries have strict gun control laws, others have more permissive regulations, whereas a few have banned firearms altogether. Now, here in this sentence uses whereas to introduce a series of contrasting positions on gun control in different countries. So here in this sentence, we are using while and whereas, both this words, just to show that there are several things and several contrast over it. So we can use both the words together if the sentences are lengthy and it contains more than one contradictions. The morning commute is usually peaceful, whereas the evening rush hour is a chaotic experience. Here, whereas emphasizes the contrast between the morning and the evening commuting experiences. John excels in mathematics, whereas Sarah shines in literature. In the sentence, contrast John's proficiency in mathematics with Sarah's strength in literature. The company's revenue has been steadily increasing, whereas its competitors are struggling to maintain their market share. Whereas is used to show the contrast between the company's positive revenue trend and its competitors' difficulties. Whereas some people are early birds who wake up at dawn, others are night owls who stay up late into the night. This example uses whereas to contrast different sleeping patterns and preferences. He was known for his frugality and saving habits, whereas his spouse had a penchant for extravagant spending. Penchant means when someone likes to do something very much. So that is known as penchant. Whereas highlights the contrasting financial behaviors of two individuals. The first movie in the series was a blockbuster hit, whereas the sequel received mixed reviews from the critics. The sentence contrasts the success of the first movie with the mixed critical reception of the sequel. Whereas some people find public speaking exhilarating, others find it terrifying. This example emphasizes the differing emotional reactions people have to public speaking. So these were some sentences in which we used whereas as the keyword and to show the comparison between the two statements. I hope you understood the meaning of these types of connectors and the uses of these types of connectors. Thanks to you.